Hey guys, Leah Michelle, Resistance Chicks, January 29th, 2017. It's a Sunday. Leah's got a timeline for you. She's been promising.
I want you guys to go and check out the Heritage Foundation. They have been tracking the Islamic terror plots and attacks since 9/11. And as I went through them, I was shocked at how many people, and I'm not even going to go over all of them, but just maybe one, like the Lackawanna 6 in 2002, when the FBI arrested Saham Alaween, blah, 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 all these guys I can't name, in upstate New York, the press dubbed them the Lackawanna 6. 5 of the 6 have been born and raised in New York.
Born and raised
and
in
all
New York.
6 are American citizens of Yemeni descent. They had stated that they were going to Pakistan to attend a religious camp, but attended an Al-Qaeda training camp in Afghanistan Instead, the 6 men pleaded guilty in 2003 to providing support to Al-Qaeda. All the men have served their jail sentences and are
now living freely in Western New York. Wow. That's great.
You can go and you can see, like, there's the shoe bomber, there's the Palestine Al-Qaeda conspiracy, the Brooklyn Bridge plot.
What Leah's trying to say is these are all attacks or potential attacks that were thwarted.
Right.
But still, they could have happened. And if you saw Leah say in the last video or the other one, where it's like you're waiting for something to happen before it hits home. You're waiting for another 9/11, or you're waiting for, whatever. And we can't. These are lives we're talking about that you're waiting to see them killed before you want to actually take it seriously.
In Columbus, Ohio, real close to us, this guy was arrested and charged in a plot to bomb a local mall. He was was an associate of the convicted terrorists and admitted to conspiring with the two to provide material support to terrorists. He pled guilty to conspiracy to provide support to terrorists, and he was sentenced to 10 years. I don't understand how these people get let out.
But then he was deported, thank God.
He was deported to his home country of Somalia. So if you go through this, and what happened...
This is at the dailysignal.com.
Well, you can go to the Heritage Foundation.
Well, this is where we're at right now.
So you can keep going, and it starts to... What's scary about it is as I go through it, as we get closer to where we are now, I saw a lot more coming up. Particularly, you'll see
Look
around 2010.
How many there are there. Wow.
This is the Fort Hood in Texas. That actually happened. This is the synagogue terror plot. The underwear bomber. I mean, it just keeps happening. There's more and more and more. I mean, you can't even just take. I could not even be. We'd be here for like a couple weeks to go through everything. There's a President Obama assassination plot. All of these plot to detonate pipe bombs in New York City. You think that the Boston guys were the only ones?
Right.
They're the only ones that got through.
Yeah.
Okay? Oh, snap. Right? I think that there's people who live inside the computer, and whenever raise your hand if you ever have been like researching things under like the conspiracy website things and your computer shuts down, because that happens to me all the time.
Oh, well, just certain videos. Sometimes our videos won't play.
Right. And
we're not even
it only happens when I'm researching, like, look back here. Look in 2015. These are things, you got the Orlando nightclub massacre that just happened in July. These are plots. You see plots. There's an attack on a Philadelphia policeman. Over and over and over again. I mean, have we even... November, so we're to November in 2016.
And then there was the knife attack. We all remember that recently
in Ohio State.
So we actually knew people whose children were there.
Right, our cousins were there.
Yeah.
And so this is why we have to rethink how we are addressing it. I mean, obviously something's working once it's here, but it's more like, let's stop it from happening in the beginning.
Right.
So I wanted to go and show you in, I must have lost some, okay, so this is from Europol, and the Islamic State changing terror attacks to maintain threat in Europe. They're changing their terror attacks. And obviously, I am not going to read this whole thing. But it says, the last 2 years have seen a number of jihadist attacks, several of which have caused mass casualties. The scale of this threat has been widely acknowledged in Europe, triggering an intensified cooperation between police and security services. Now I have to tell you that I believe that the police are doing a job. They're doing what they can do. I believe that they're leaders.
I have a conspiracy theory about that, actually. The police are doing a good job, but I really do believe that the push to malign our police here in the United States and to create division between the people and mistrust between the people and the police comes from so much higher than Black Lives Matters. All right, you guys, that it's so much higher than that, and they really want to create division and mistrust with our police so that our police cannot do the jobs that they need to do to stop this from happening, or else they're going to be blacklisted as a racist or you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's really ridiculous.
So just to let you know, Islam is not a race. What is actually so funny about this is all common sense. Further attacks in the EU, both by lone actors and groups, are likely to be attempted. Estimates from some intelligence services indicate several dozen people directed by the Islamist State may be currently present in Europe with the capability to commit terrorist attacks.
I love this. I love number 3. The most probable scenario is the use of the same modus
operandi
that they've used in the past. Duh. They've blown people up before. They're going to use it again.
Just call this the Europol Declaration of Duh. Because I could have written this in my sleep with the hands tied behind my back. They might keep doing what they're doing. What's interesting down here is it says elements of the Syrian refugee diaspora may be vulnerable to radicalization once in Europe. So the refugees might be vulnerable to radicalization once they get in Europe. Why would that be? And may be targeted by extremist recruiters that are already here in your stinking country. Given that it is in the interest of the Islamic State to inflame the migration crisis, to polarize the EU population and turn sections of it against those seeking asylum, some infiltration of refugee camps and other refugee migrant groups is likely. It's trying to make us not like them, so we're going to infiltrate them to make them attack the migrants. That's what's happening, and we just have to love them even more.
Stop it.
There was one woman in Europe who had a boy living with her because they had the children. The children, you've all heard that the young men coming over are really like over 18, but they're pretending. They send them in, these ISIS people send them in as like 14, 15-year-old boys, and one woman had this. These European women are so, and American women too, I'm sorry. They want to bring them in. They want to love them.
Yeah,
and then they come out that the kid living with her wanted to, was a terrorist and was not a young man. So,
oh my gosh.
This is the timeline. This is your Europol's declaration of duh. Duh. You're not going to change anything. Donald Trump is doing stuff to change things. You just want to cover your rears to make yourself not look racist.
Right.
So.
Or Islamophobic. That's the biggest thing. Everybody, oh, you're so Islamophobic. Well, here's the thing, guys. Islam and its beliefs talk about killing everyone that's not Islamic.
The infidels.
So if it's okay to be Islamophobic. It's okay to be fearful and wise. So when you call somebody Islamophobic, I kind of want to say, what's so wrong with that? Get to their core beliefs. Read the Quran, then come back to me and tell me that we don't have reason to fear a religion that says they want to kill everyone that is not part of their religion.
Here's the thing. I am arachnophobic. Okay, but if I see a daddy long leg, it doesn't really bother me.
Even though they have enough venom, or their venom is so poisonous it can kill you if they could actually bite big enough.
Right. So, there are certain kind of spiders that don't really get me. The ones that get on your ceiling that spin around and look like you, the little black ones, they scare me. But I know they really can't, like...
No, because they're thinking. They are thinking, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to jump on you, and I'm going to crawl inside or up your nose and go into your body and explode you. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're thinking.
I spent a couple hours battling.
They're terrorists. They're spider terrorists.
But if I know that something is like a black widow spider, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like there are different levels. And right now across the world, I'm sorry, the majority of Muslims want Sharia law. And if you go back to our founding fathers, when they started to meet some of these Muslims, they were like, hey, we can be friends. Wait, you really want to kill us? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You should go back and read what John Quincy Adams had to say when he read the Quran.
He's like, what is this book, man? What is this? You'll see that in John Quincy's, Jefferson, they all had they had copies of the Quran because they read it. They like,
and you have people now that tout, oh, they had copies of the Quran, they're so inclusive. No, these men were real men that knew that you need to study what your enemy is putting forth
but they didn't want
as
to be
propaganda.
In the beginning, they thought, no, our founding fathers.
I know. I'm just saying they realized that you need to know about people before you let them in.
Right.
And so that's why they had copies of these books.
Right, exactly.
What basketball coach doesn't sit down and watch the games of the other, teams to study them?
Right.
You guys.
I hope that Muslims come to know Christ. And
Absolutely.
if they're here in America, I'm going to love them with everything in me.
Right. That's the only thing that will stop the terror is the love of God, the power of God in Jesus Christ. Lee and I don't actually fear the terror. We don't fear the terrorists. We're wise because we know that God can protect us. But you guys, as a nation, we haven't fully submitted back to God before. Mm-hmm. I mean, submitted to God on our knees. And so there is a threat that things could happen in the United States because we're not under that blanket protection yet because we haven't repented as a nation.
All right, I got one more thing for you, so why don't you stay tuned.
All right, this is Lee Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Like, comment, share on your social media pages, and subscribe to Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3, and
do it all.
Yeah, I think that's it. All right, we love you guys. We'll be back in a minute.
I was called